Are you looking for some church marketing ideas for smaller churches? Well, then look no further, my friend. That's what we're gonna be talking about in this video. If we're meeting for the first time, what's up? My name's Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo, and this channel is dedicated to creating insanely practical resources and church growth strategies, and that's exactly what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Now, we're going to be specifically focusing on some church marketing strategies in here, a couple of my favorites. But here's the deal. You don't have to take notes or anything. I actually just took all of the strategies we're going to be talking about in this video, and I put them into a free PDF along with some other ones that we don't have time to talk about in the video here today. So it's 101 church growth ideas you've probably never heard of. So you can actually get that absolutely free. It's a brand new PDF I just created. In fact, at the time of this video, I am still creating it. So hopefully by the time you're seeing this video and it's posted, it's out there and you can go download it. So go check out churchfuel.com/101ideas and see if I finished it in time and actually got it up by the time I posted this video. So you can download that absolutely free, 101 church growth ideas you've probably never heard of. Now, I use some of these strategies to help a church of 20 people triple their attendance. It literally went from 20 to 60 in only 5 months using some of these ideas that we're going to be talking about here today. Also had a church of 60 grow to 110 in only 3 months. And I helped a church plant grow from 0 to over 200 in only 5 months using some of the ideas we're going to be talking about in this video. So let's dive in. I believe that the amount of visitors that you have on Sunday morning is a direct reflection of the amount of invites you had that week. Okay, this sounds kind of basic and almost kind of obvious, but I think a lot of times we overlook things like this, right? So here's the deal. If you invite 10 people to church during the week, there's a chance that 1 or 2 of them might come. But if you invite 100 people, there's a much better chance that 2 or 3 of them might come, right? And if you invite 1,000 people that week, you're definitely gonna have some visitors that are gonna show up to church, right? This is just the law of large numbers. And I think a lot of times this gets lost in the shuffle, right? We're wondering, we're praying so hard, we're believing God for growth, but we're saying, man, why aren't you blessing me? What's going on, right? Like why aren't people showing up? Honestly, I just think a lot of it's just a direct reflection of how many invites actually went out that week, right? How many people did you invite to church this week? Now, here's the deal. I know that we all have a million different things to do, right? So we can't just be knocking on doors all day long. So what I want to do is break down a couple of strategies that can skyrocket those invites, but you can do it with leverage and in a way that's actually scalable and sustainable, that you can do it long term. So let's talk about a couple of those. Okay, first up is Facebook and Instagram ads. Okay, now why Facebook? Pastors ask me all the time, right? Dude, man, with TikTok and Snapchat and all this different stuff, like, dude, nobody's on Facebook anymore. But here's the deal. There's 3 billion people on Facebook. 2 billion log in every single day, and the average user in the United States is on there for 40 minutes a day. Now, I know you might be thinking, okay, yeah, but those are the old people. But that's not true. Check out these statistics. 31% of people on Facebook are between the ages of 25 and 34. A third of those 3 billion people on Facebook are between the ages of 25 and 34, right? So if you're trying to reach young families, we just found them. They're on Facebook, right? And then Instagram has another 1 billion people on Instagram, right? And we know that that's going to trend younger anyway, right? So this is the perfect way. If you're trying to reach young families with kids, Facebook and Instagram ads are a great way to do that. Now, the first one is something I call event ads, right? So you may have even run some of these before, right? So if you've got maybe like a back to school bash or a trunk or treat or like a fall festival or some type of Christmas event, right? Or Easter egg hunt, you may have run an ad before inviting people out to your event. Now, just a quick note, this is not a boosted post, right? This is a targeted Facebook ad, right? So the difference is basically if you go onto your church Facebook page and you post, hey, come to our Easter egg hunt, and then you boost it out to Facebook, right? And boost it out and you pay Facebook to show it out. That's not a Facebook ad. That's actually just a boosted post. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not as powerful or as targeted as a Facebook ad. I recommend you do that also, but I'd spend the majority of your budget, like for example, if you had $500 to invite people on Facebook and Instagram to your Easter egg hunt, I would spend $50 boosting a post, and I would spend the other $450 running a targeted ad on Facebook and Instagram. Now, I would just simply run a traffic ad. I would run this ad to everyone within driving distance of the church, and I would just run a traffic ad, meaning it's going to send traffic. When people click on the ad, it's going to send that traffic to a landing page on your website that tells them more about the event, and they have the opportunity to either RSVP or my favorite call to action, plan a visit, right? Or register to that event that you have coming out, right? So you're going to go to adsmanager.facebook.com and you're going to set up a targeted ad. Then you're going to make sure that that ad actually runs to a landing page on your website. Okay, this is not your homepage or your about page or your kids page or anything like that. You're going to create a dedicated page that just talks about your Easter egg hunt, right? Nothing else. If you say more than one thing, you say nothing at all. So make sure you're setting them to a page that just talks about your Easter egg hunt, right? And then have a chance for them to either like register, RSVP, or plan a visit. I like plan a visit because I've seen a lot more people that'll actually take time to plan a visit, especially if you give them a reason to, like, hey, make sure to plan your visit to our Easter egg hunt. That way we'll have a free gift waiting for you, some free candy for your kid, some free prizes, and we're going to give you 100 entries into our giveaways or door prize or whatever it is, right? Just give them a reason to do it. Otherwise, if you just say, hey, plan a visit, they're like, no, I'll just show up, right? But give them a reason to do it. And if you do some giveaways, right, some candy, some free stuff, right, then you're going to get a lot of plan your visits. And now you've got their name, email, and phone number, and you can follow up with them and invite them back to church on Easter. Now, the second type of Facebook ad that I would run is something I call an invite ad. All right, so this is something that you can just run on all the other Sundays when you have nothing special going on. It's just an invite ad. You just run an ad, again, by going to adsmanager.facebook.com, right, and to everyone who lives within driving distance of your church, and you're just going to invite them out to church on Sunday. My favorite way to do this is with a selfie video, right? And so I found if you have like kind of a moving, walking selfie video, don't go like stand in front of like a brick wall or something like that, right? But grab a smartphone and just go walk around like outside the church or down Main Street or whatever. And the more you like kind of turn a little bit, right, it makes the background a little bit more interesting and it'll actually keep people's attention longer, and just invite people to church. Like, hey, what's up, guys? My name is Chris Abbott and I'm the pastor at Guts Church. Man, I just want to invite you out to church this Sunday. Just invite people out to church as an ad. And then same thing, you're going to want to run it to a dedicated landing page, right? This time, instead of making it about the Easter egg hunt, you want to set up a plan your visit page, right? Where all you're talking about is plan your visit and your Sunday morning services. And then they have an option to be able to sign up for plan your visit, right? Make sure you get a notification. So now you got their name, email, and phone number. You can follow up with them before they show up on Sunday. And the third type of ad that I love to run on Facebook and Instagram is something I call a prayer ad. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this on the channel. I talk about it all the time. This is one of my favorite things in the world right now because it just changes everything, right? All these other ideas we're talking about are marketing. This one's ministry. Prayer ads are just different. It's not marketing, it's ministry, right? So instead of trying to get people to take an action and do things, you're just going to run an ad, right? Same thing, adsmanager.facebook.com. And you're going to run a targeted ad just asking people, hey, how can I pray for you? Right? A video, like a selfie video is a great thing to do over here, or a picture of you and your spouse, right? But just saying like, hey, what's up, guys? Man, my name's Pastor Chris, and I want to pray for you, right? I know everybody's going through something, so man, what can I do? How can I pray for you this week, right? You run an ad like that to everyone who lives within driving distance of your church, and instead of running it into to a landing page, you will run this one into Facebook Messenger, right? That way people can have a one-on-one conversation with you through Messenger. Now, my favorite way to do this is you can actually use automated responses inside of Facebook Messenger to collect the responses, right? And have a conversation, like invite them to church. And then you can come in once you see that, right? And actually send an audio prayer or even a video prayer to them of you actually praying for them by name, praying for their specific situation, which is super powerful. And then you can invite them to church, right? I've seen this work like gangbusters. I've helped over 1,000 churches run these prayer ads now. At this point, we have an entire system that we've built around it, and we run them for a lot of different churches. And the cool thing is we see about 10% of the people who submit a prayer request will then go on to plan a visit, right? 10%. So like if you go pray for 500 people, 50 of them are actually going to sign up for Plan Your Visit, give you their name, email, and phone number, and say, yes, I want to come to church on Sunday, right? And you can follow up with them. The cool thing is you can actually double that from 10% to 20% if you send that audio prayer or that video prayer, right? And then just invite them to church at the end of the prayer. Super, super powerful. So I love it, right? You've got event ads, you've got invite ads, and you've got prayer ads. My favorite way to use Facebook and Instagram in order to reach people with the gospel and invite them to church. Okay, next up, you have Google ads, right? Everyone's searching Google these days, right? But 91% of people never go past page 1 of Google, right? Which basically means if your church website isn't on page 1 of Google, right, at least from a search engine standpoint, you're basically invisible, right? Now, an entire industry dedicated to this called search engine optimization. Honestly, it's pretty difficult. It's pretty complicated. It's changing all the time. So my favorite way to get on page 1 of Google isn't to try to hire an SEO company or anything, right? It's just to run Google ads. When you go like type in like churches near me or churches in Tulsa, or you're you're searching for these different search terms, right? And then you see like churches to pop up at the top. A lot of times they'll just have a tiny little thing underneath it that say sponsored. Those are just ads. But guess what? Those ads are on page 1 at the top. I will gladly pay for that. And the really cool thing is that Google actually has a program where they will give $10,000 a month in free Google ads to churches and nonprofits, right? So as long as you're a 501c3, right, you can just go to Google and type in Google Grant, right? And you'll find out some more information. You can find out if it's available in your area and that kind of stuff. We've helped thousands of churches at this point get this. I've been doing this like for years, and running these ads, it can be really, really effective to get you onto page 1, and you're using Google's money to invite people out to church. Now, kind of a cool thing, if you didn't see it, we actually recently did a Grow Your Church workshop where we talked about how to use the Google Grant and how to build an automatic invite system using Google's money that just works in the background all the time, inviting people to church. All right, so you can actually check that out on the channel here. We actually put that replay on there. It's crazy. It's like over 10,000 pastors and church leaders registered for that workshop. It was insane. We had a lot of fun. So if you want to go into more in depth on how to create an automatic invite system for the Google Grant and some other church growth tactics, you can go check out that video and that replay. I hope that blesses you. Okay, next up is the Monday morning selfie video. This one is really simple. All you want to do is you just want to take your smartphone, right, and just make a video for every single visitor that you had the day before, right? Just thanking them for coming, like using their first name, right? If they had a spouse, like use their name, their spouse's name. If they have kids, use their kids' names, but just thank them for coming and then invite them back the following Sunday. It's crazy pants how well this works to get people back in the door and just to make people feel like known and loved and valued, right? Because they got a personal video from the pastor the day after they visited a church for the very first time, right? Super, super impactful. I've got a lot of friends that I've kind of taught how to do this, and they're doing it now, and they text me all the time with like some of the responses. People are just blown away by this, right? Again, there's just so much stuff in our world now is automated, right? That to actually have like a human, like a pastor reaching out and personally texting you and sending that video is really, really powerful. So it doesn't have to be a long video, 30 to 60 seconds, right? Just like, hey, John, Heather, what's going on, man? Hey, man, Pastor Chris here. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to church yesterday. Had a great chance getting to know you, right, man? I hope your kids, like, little Johnny Jr. and Sally, I hope they had a great time over in the kids ministry. Man, I wanted to thank you for coming, right? I want to say what's up, and I just want to invite you back. We're doing it again this Sunday, right? Same time, same place, 10 o'clock. Can you make it, right? End it with a question, right? Then they're going to respond. You were using their name. So like, man, if you text that to John, he's going to go show his wife. They're going to show their kids because you mentioned their names and everything, right? So now getting a lot of mileage out of that video. They're watching it multiple times. And you ended it with a question like, can you make it? Will you be there? Right? And so now if they say yes, they just promised the pastor they're coming back to church. And now that's 2 Sundays in a row that you got a new family to come to church. And there's some church statistics out there. I'm probably going to butcher these because I don't remember these exactly, but it's something like if a person comes to church for the very first time, right, there's a 10% chance that they will join your church, right? Just on average, the way church growth works. But if they come 2 Sundays in a row, it jumps from like 10% to like 40%. And if they come 3 Sundays in a row, that jumps from 40% to like 90%, right? Like it's absolutely like crazy. So your goal should just be to get new visitors to come back a second time and then get them to come back a third time. And if you can do that in consecutive Sundays, the chances of them actually joining the church are just going to skyrocket. Then I would take all the new visitors that you got after you send out all the selfie videos, and I would plug them into a long-term nurture follow-up sequence, right? Like if you use something like Text in Church, they have a 6-week follow-up system, like out of the box. You can literally just like sign up. I think they even have like a 2-week or 14-day trial that you can check out. They've got a follow-up system. You can literally plug in, you can test it out, try a bunch of your, just plug in like your visitors, and it'll automatically follow up with them for 6 weeks. You don't have to use Text in Church. You could use a different software or something, but I'd recommend using some type of automated software because you can't keep track of all the visitors that have come in and like where they're at in the process. And so you want to make sure that you're following up with people every single week. I would say 6 to 12 weeks. And I would say you want it to be a mix of text message, email, and personal phone calls, right? So creating a 6 to 12 week follow-up system is a huge step in the right direction. All right. So if you like this video, I would recommend going over and checking out how to grow your church congregation. That goes a little bit deeper on some of the things that we talked about here today and kind of walks you through a 7-part framework that you can use to grow your church and get more visitors. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, right? Hit that little bell so you get notifications every single time we drop a new video. Man, thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Love you guys, and we will see you soon.